Hi, I'm Jude, and today I'm going to show you how to make a tree of life pendant. I have wire and I have a cab, one link, and a bail. So in phase one, we're going to gather our material, and then I'm going to show you how to begin to develop the trunk and the roots of the tree. Phase two, we're going to be wrapping it around the cab and shaping the roots and connecting it to the link. Phase three, in phase three, we're going to really start developing the trunk and creating the different branches in the tree and connecting it to the back of the link there. And in phase four, we're putting in the bail and securing it and then finishing up our branches on the tree. And in phase five, we're going to finish it all up nicely with some epoxy on the back to complete it. Let's get started. All right, so I'm ready now to start forming my tree and roots. So to start, I'm going to take my 26 gauge wire and I'm going to start forming it into the trunk and roots. And so what I've got here is 16 lengths of 16-inch 26 gauge zebra wire. And what I'm going to do is start forming that trunk, and I'm going to do it not from the top because these are going to be my branches. This is going to be my roots, so I don't want as much length in the roots there. So I'm just gonna, doesn't have to be perfect, just twist it up a little bit. And then I'm gonna take and start doing my little clumps of, so I want different, for variety, I want some thick and some thin roots. So I'm gonna twist some like 3 or 4 pieces together, and then I'll just leave one alone, and maybe I'll take 2 for the next one. It's kind of an intuitive project. You just kind of know one of them are going to be alike, and just start twisting here. And at first it's pretty clumsy because you got all these wires sticking out and poking you and stuff. It's okay. It's not, we're going to be fixing it as we go along. But you just want to kind of get that feel for the roots there. So I've got the roots started, and now what I want to do is take my cab and I'm going to put the front side of it against the wire, and I'm going to take and start bending it up just to get the idea of where I can start wrapping, because I don't want too much, but so that's pretty good. And then I'm going to take my link, and it doesn't have to be perfect, just kind of center it a little bit. And at this point, I'm really wishing for a third hand. So what I'm going to do is take some painter's tape, which is great to use because it removes easily and it doesn't leave any residue. So I'm going to, again, just nothing too perfect or anything. So now what I have here is just my roots kind of poking up, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to take and start forming. And I work from side to side. That way it helps keep it balanced on the front of the focal there. So we're going to wrap this up, and I'm going to go back over, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my pliers and just gently lift that up, just so I have enough room to get the wire under the link here. And then it's just a process of, and you want some slack, because what you're going to be doing is creating your texture and everything later. So you just give it a couple of twists in there. And I like to use these bent nose pliers because I can get in there and reach in. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be a lot of times. I just do 1 or 2 times, because when we finish it up, we're going to be finishing it with epoxy, and that's going to hold our piece together. And so it gets easier as you clip your wire away. So there's one gone, and I'm going to continue on. And you're just going to want to flip it over every once in a while, and right now it doesn't look like much of anything, and that's okay. And I'm going to go over to the other side and kind of work from that area. So let's get this one right here. And flip it back over and start. There we go. And you can see I'm not getting it tight or anything. I'm just getting it wrapped, just starting to set up the little pattern here. Okay, so I'm going to continue on with this until I have all the roots connected to the back of the link. And again, we're not going for pretty, we're just going for wrapped loops. So we will be right back. I will be right back. All right, so I have the 16 wires attached to form the roots. And as you can see, it's not pretty. It doesn't have to be. And we've got some room to wiggle here. So what we're going to do is that's going to help us create and sculpt the root system. So what I'm going to do is just take a pair of pliers. You can take round nose or whatever you feel comfortable with, and start giving just little kinks in there, just like a regular tree root would be. And I'm gonna just giving it a little bit of shape, and it doesn't have to be perfect. Again, by the time until we finish, we can still keep shaping things. And get those gnarly little roots all placed, and you can move them around because they'll slide on the back here, so you can place them wherever you want, wherever you think they might look good. And give it a little bit of twist up here. think for right now that's good. So what I'm going to do is flip it over, and I'm going to take off my tape. And we're going to go into phase 3. All right, so we've got our root system created, and now it's time to start shaping the trunk and our branches. So again, I'm taking the pliers, and I'm gonna kind of give it some interesting twists and turns and just kind of get creative with it a little bit there. And so that looks, you know, again, it's a work in progress. And now I'm gonna make it easier for me to work on, and I'm going to put the tape on, but I'm going to put the tape behind the tree so I can start shaping working with the trunk and the branches there. It helps hold it down so I can work on the back of the link. So I'm securing the back so I've got something pretty stable to work with. So now I have the top part here, and I'm gonna try to make some gnarly looking interesting tree. So whatever your creative juices point you to, just do it, because there's no wrong tree. And you just, so trees usually they start out with thicker branches from the trunk. So I'm going to take a whole bunch of wires and twist them. Now if I was working with a bigger piece of rock or creating a bigger piece, I would use a heavier gauge wire. But for this, a 26 gauge wire works just perfect. A little bit thinner than that would be, it wouldn't have as much texture to the tree. So get a couple of single branches out there. But if you're using that heavier gauge wire, you're going to need to, you would be working with a vise, having your pieces sitting in a vise, because you're going to have to twist and turn a whole lot more. So when I'm starting with these branches with thick, I'm going to start here, but then, so I have, you know, a couple of thin ones, but then I have like 3 thicker ones, and then from there what I'm going to do is branch off from those and create some thinner branches from that thick branch. So I will probably end up with about 8 branches, no, maybe a little bit, 10. Just coming up off of there. You want to have enough branches to create a pattern that's going to make it look interesting. So let's see. And now I have those, so I'm going to take, I'll just, off of that one thicker branch, I'm going to take these 2 and twist it around. And twist here. Not a whole lot, but just a little. Okay, that's a good place to start anyways. So now I'm going to do just like what I did with the roots, and I'm going to take one of them, and I usually start from the center. That way it helps me center my piece. So I'm going to take that and flip it over and again, lift this guy up a little bit so I can, there we go. I'm just going to leave it there and lift. There we go. And just like with the roots, you're going to leave a little bit of slack so that you can create that texture on the front when you've got them all attached. Sometimes you gotta play with it. There we go. And the one thing about wire, it wants to pop wherever you don't want to go. So you just have to wrestle with it. And again, I'm going to clip them off as I attach them. I'm going to go back to the front and I'm going to look at my tree and I'm going to go, I think I need something over here to hold it on this side. So I'm going to take the branch, twist it a little bit. Okay, and now I'm ready to take that one and flip it over. And again, I'm going to do like the roots and just wrap it around a couple of times, and I'm not worried about what it looks like. And I'm going to go to the other side. And let's see here. Let's get 2 of them. Make it a little bit thicker. And they kind of bow down and bend around. Oh. Okay, so we're going to do just like the roots. And I'm going to continue to attach all of my branches and flipping back and forth so that I can kind of place them in the general area that I want them. And what I'm going to be aware of while I'm doing this too is that the bail needs to be in here too. So I'm going to make sure that I get a space there. And from there I'm going to work around the bail to have it secured in there. It doesn't have to be glued right now because the epoxy, when it's all dried, it's going to hold everything in here. So I'm just creating that space for the bail, and we'll work towards that. So we're going to continue on with this, and I'll be back for the next phase. So now I have just a couple branches left to attach, and that's going to help me secure the bail. So I'm going to first remove the painter's tape that was helping me hold down the loop. And so it's sometimes it can be a little tricky you're gonna have to kind of tear it out. But it's not that difficult. There we go. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take that bail. This is a glue-on bail, but we don't need to glue it on because once we get the wires on there, and then the epoxy, everything will be secured. So I want the bail right about in the center there. And I'm gonna take one of these wires and I'm gonna go over here and kind of steady it. And again, just go through that ring there and pull it through. And so I'm just securing it enough so that once I put the epoxy on, it will really be permanently on there, but I'm just getting it in a place so that it'll hold still when I do put the epoxy down. And I'll take a branch and go to the other side. Oh, that one's got a little kink in it. Let's cut that off. And we got 2 more branches to go here. And then again, once I get into the front and start twisting and making some interesting looking branches, it's going to get tighter. Where do I want this branch to go? Right over here. This is a very intuitive type of a project. It's not like you can follow step 1, step 2, step 3. They're like more phases and just kind of creating as you go along. Once you do a couple of them, it's really a lot of fun. So I got my bail in there, it's secure, and I'm going to go to the front, and then I'm going to start creating my branches. I'm taking my pliers and I'm giving them some interesting shapes. It also tightens down my wire and helps hold my bail. So let's see, that looks and so let's see what we got going on here. Okay. And then, you know, you can keep giving it little tweaks here and there, look at it for a little while, and let's try this one this way. There. So there, I've got my tree. It's pretty tight. So now we're ready for phase 5. And that's where we're going to give it that professional look by finishing off the back so it's nice and smooth and secure. So we've just completed phase 4. I've got my bail secured, and now we're ready to do the finishing touches. So what I'm going to be using is epoxy. It's 2-part, and you need to mix it up. So I'm going to take equal amounts of the gray, this A, and then the color is, I'm going to be using blue today, but these come in all different kinds of colors, and you can even mix the colors together if you want to really get a specific type of shade. Let's see here. We want to make sure that we've got it an even amount. It doesn't have to be totally precise, but you want to get it pretty close. So that's pretty good. And so now I'm just going to massage it and work it all together so that it's all evenly mixed together. So I want to make sure I can't see the gray anymore. Oh, I use the gloves to protect my hands. Like, I don't want the epoxy, the color under my nails. And a lot of times it's just a good practice. So it looks like this is all mixed in together. I can't see any of the gray. So I've got one even color. And so now what I'm going to do is flatten it out and then apply it to the back of my pendant. It doesn't have to be a perfect oval or anything. You just want it so that it's going to cover. So I'm ready to clean up the sides, so have a nice clean edge there. So now all this does is you don't have to bake it or anything. The epoxy is air dry. So what I'm going to do is just set it down in a place that's not going to get bumped, and about 5 hours from now it'll be all set up. And you can finish up by sanding if you want, and you have a pendant. Now we're ready to put it on and show it off. Thank you for joining me. I hope you had fun. For full written instructions on this project and the ingredients, click the link in the description below or visit us at firemountaingems.com.